Hey there, welcome to the garden. I am getting ready to do one of my absolute favorite garden projects, which is starting some containers from seed. I absolutely love planting containers. As you can see, I have quite a few containers in my garden. Although it's very fun to plant containers with started plants that you get from the garden center or that you start yourself, and you certainly get really wonderful instant impact when you do containers that way. It's also really fun to plant some containers from seed, and you never quite know what you're gonna get. It can be a little bit of a gamble because you're kind of just using your imagination to think about what is this container gonna look like and how is it gonna turn out. But the results can be really fun and interesting, and there's something really cool about when plants kind of grow in together, I guess. They start as seeds and they grow up and around each other, and there's just something really fun about it. So I'm gonna do two containers. I'm gonna do one that's a hanging basket and then just one little small container. And these are for my fall winter garden. So I'm focusing on plants that are going to be pretty cold hardy so that they can grow throughout this fall and into the winter, probably even into next spring. And so I pulled out a few different seeds, and it's really primarily going to be green. So these are not going to be really containers that are super heavily focused on flowers, but I still think that greens are really beautiful. And especially, when you get into those cold winter months, like, does it really matter if you have flowers? At a certain point, you just want to see something growing, and that's what we're going to have here. So this container that I have right here is a hanging basket. It's about 12, I think it's 12 inches across. Let me move the camera down so you can see. And in this container, I actually do already have a couple things growing. As you can see, I had a few issues. I transplanted some of these little viola seedlings that I started inside. So I do have a couple started plants in this container. You would have seen this in my viola video. But they're kind of having a hard time with the transplant. And this was a little bit of user error. I will admit that I actually let these containers get a little bit too dry at one point. And I think in letting them get too dry, I just hurt those little seedlings because they had all been in a really densely packed cup, and then I separated them out and it just didn't work. Although I've got a few in another container that are doing okay. But I'm gonna add in a couple different things around them, and I'm gonna focus on kind of like doing a container with 3 different sections. My first plant is going to be dazzling blue kale, because this is just such a beautiful kale. Not only is it delicious, it's a really stunning color, and especially as you get into the colder temperatures, when it's really cold out, it takes on kind of those more purpley blue colors, for the name. And so one little section of the container is going to be dazzling blue kale. Then I'm going to throw in a little bit of this freckles romaine, because that's kind of a pretty interesting romaine. And you've probably heard me talk about this lettuce before, and romaines, they're just such a great easy lettuce for me to grow. And so I figured this will be help to make sure hopefully we get something growing in this container. And then last but not least, I'm going to do a prize head lettuce, and I don't actually remember what this one looks like, but I think it's just a classic kind of butterheady type of lettuce, because I have had so many issues with butterhead lettuces, and they're such a hard one for me to grow, that I've been trying different varieties, and I'm pretty sure that's why I picked up this prize head lettuce. And if nothing else, if I could get a couple little heads of lettuce, that might be really beautiful in here. But mostly I'm just gonna sow it pretty thickly in and around those 2 little starts that I have in there. I'm not gonna really fuss with it too much, and I'm gonna be harvesting these as baby greens. That's gonna be my goal, is to have a really nice baby green harvest out of these hanging baskets, or basket. That's the plan. So for my other container here, I just have this small low pot, and in it I just put a little bit of like a mesclun salad bowl mix and just sewed it in the top here. I'm gonna water it in. Lettuce is such a good one for containers because it doesn't need super like big containers. They have a really kind of shallow root system, so it's just an easy one to put in a container. I love growing lettuce in containers, one of my favorite things. And something like one of those salad bowl mix also just creates, again, like a really pretty I'm look. Getting ready actually probably this week to be able to start harvesting off of one of my arugula containers. Let me show you what it's looking like and you can kind of get a feel for what we're doing with like that salad. Here is the arugula, and there's a little bit of pest damage on it, but it's about ready to be harvested. I will just take off the outside leaves that are the biggest and let the smaller leaves in the center continue to grow. And I think it's still like a really pretty container, just a nice potted plant to have in your garden. I have it next to some gomphrena here in another little container. Some of these just like really kind of simple containers are just lovely and kind of elegant in their own way. Really, yeah, beautiful. And then you can get a decent harvest. Like once I harvest out all of the large leaves off of these plants, not only will I have enough for like maybe a small salad or on a couple sandwiches, but then they will replenish within about a week. So I find if I get, you know, just a few of those containers going, I can really cover all of my family's lettuce needs just from a couple containers. And it does add up because, you know, lettuce is not cheap when you get it from the grocery store. It comes in those packs. If you're like me, it goes bad in your fridge on a fairly regular basis. I have a hard time keeping lettuce fresh, so it's nice. I really like being able to just come out and pick the lettuce I need, the exact amount that I want, and as long as you just only take those big leaves off the outside, then you can have, you know, lettuce on and on and on. So really, yeah, something I definitely recommend, even if you just have like a balcony for your apartment. One pot, get a little bit of potting soil and a packet of seeds and just throw it in and yeah, have fresh lettuce for your sandwich. I mean, what could be better than that? While I'm out here, I'm going to do a little bit of re-sowing in this container. You can see this is some of the slug bait that got a little bit overly thick in one area, so it looks a little bit gross honestly right now. But I put in a couple viola plants in this container, and then I do have a couple of the ones that I started from seed. So these are the other ones that I started from seed that are looking better. And what I think I'm going to do is maybe, well, these are, I'm going to deadhead here as we go along, and I might just add like a tiny bit of either soil on the top or like rake this soil up a little bit, and then I'm going to plant in a little bit more dazzling blue kale and a little bit of the salad mix in here as well. You know, I think I'm going to go grab just a little bit of potting mix and put it over the top and just kind of around these plants to just freshen this up. Okay, let's spread a little bit more potting mix. I do have a couple dazzling blue kale starts, as you can see in here, that I planted just a few weeks ago. They just don't look great. It was when I still had the corn in here and they kind of, I don't know, they just like didn't get enough sun at the start or whatever, but a little bit of fresh potting mix on the top won't hurt them, may kind of help. Yeah, I think they were kind of stretching for the sun. That's why they look like that. I also see some fungus gnats in here, which I'm not entirely sure why that is going on. That is interesting. We did just get a bunch of rain, so maybe that's part of it. Well, anyways, this looks much better now. I am gonna have to put a little bit of the slug bait back down because we've been having terrible issues with slugs in this space, but at least for right now it'll look fresh. And then we'll just put in a little bit of these seeds. So probably, I guess I'm gonna aim for putting the kale along the back, and I'll put the salad bowl mix along the front. All right, got that refreshed and planted too, which is good. That was kind of bugging me. I think this is like almost all of the things I want to get planted. I've been saying in every video, but I've been like racing against time before my due date to try to get some of these things done. Just trying to make sure I get all the things set. But the nice thing is too, is we have another little like 3 or 4 days of rain coming. So that's always helpful for seedlings too, because of course, you know, drying out is always like one of the biggest dangers with seedlings, and it has been dry this last month, so it was like a little bit hard. I am going to turn on the sprinkler system now in the garden. Well, first I need to sweep up a little bit because I got a little bit of garden cleanup to do, but then I'm going to turn on the sprinkler system and water all these containers, water in those containers well. Just being careful to have like a nice light mist on my hose head, because with the lettuce seedlings and even the kale, you don't want to bury them super deep, so they can get washed away just a little bit if you're like too aggressive with watering like right on top of them. So something to think about as well, is just being very gentle with that. But I'm gonna sweep up, get the sprinkler system going, get this garden alive. All right, it's looking so much better out here. I got it sweeped up. I'm going to just water in the containers. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.